Here we are. And hello, 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 and happy Sunday. Yes, it is a little early for Kitty and I to be here today, but you all know that when Kitty and I come together, we come together because we want to share insight with you for what's coming up in excuse me, in our energies that we have, considering we are on July 2nd. So happy July 2nd, everyone. There's lots of energy taking place, but we also come together so she and I can play because I like to play, and my way of playing is sharing insight with each and every one of you. And what an intense energy that we have coming forth for, interesting enough, July, and we have July 4th there as well. And what it is we're going to be doing, what it is, as the title says for today, July, surrender to the divine, and surrendering. What do we have to surrender so we can move into that space that we are so, I don't know about you guys, but I know I am. The word that comes to me is antsy. I am antsy because I want, excuse my expression, I want some shit to happen. And I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready to take these leaps known as quantum leaps. But sometimes not everybody is ready to take those quantum leaps. But I'm going to leave it there because what I like to do is I want to check in to make sure we are streaming where we need to be streaming. And then Kitty is just going to explain just a little bit about our title. And then the two of us are going to have a conversation about all this July energy. So go ahead, Kitty.
Well, it's an interesting month because aspect-wise, planets moving-wise, not particularly busy. Gemini is still on full, or Mercury is still on full tilt. But we will get more than 14 and a half days in Cancer before it moves to Leo. But it is really an interesting. I was just talking with Joe Monkman about this. It really is about us creating our heaven on earth energy. So it's intense and it's tender. And those were two of the words he talked about. And the third word, well, and tenacity. And this is a message kind of across the board. We do have Venus heading retrograde at the end of the month. And that's always about revisiting, refocusing, re-examining, because it's that our values, our abundance, all of those things. And so it's really kind of interesting, though, as we start the beginning of this month, there's so much of this starting energy available that this is a month to monitor. Can I, it's interesting that you've got this urge to want to get things going because that is exactly the vibration, but it is very kind of levels of intensity. One gentleman I listened to talked about the intensity of withdrawing, the intensity of letting go, or the intensity of being in the joy of this month. And you may be moving in and out of all three. And Joanne's going to talk to a minute about the fact that this is the strongest portal of the year for the reason that it is very much about our relationship energy, very much about our communication. Mars is moving into Leo. And when Mars is moving into Leo, it's very exact. It's very precise about where we want to put our will. And again, what is the reality we're being asked to create? Mid-month, we have a huge shift that will be lasting for almost 2 years of our North Node energy moving into that Libra and Aries axis. The North Node is moving into Aries, and that's that song, I'm Unstoppable Today. That's that energy of our soul really launching. There's that cardinal energy because we have Cancer. We have Capricorn, full moon tomorrow in Capricorn. We have a Cancer new moon. We have this Libra and Aries axis. We have Pluto sitting retrograde in Capricorn. We have Saturn that is the ruler of Capricorn, though it's in Pisces, trying to focus. So we have this Capricorn starting new structures energy along with a focus of whatever that flow is. And then, we have all this Cancer energy too that we're nurturing. And then our souls move into the opposite, that other axis of it and starting things. So busy month.
Yeah, yes, it is. And it's interesting. I was just on our friend Joe Monkman's personal page on Facebook, and he had this perfect image photo that he posted, and it had like a street sign, and above it said now, and the street sign said future or past. And it's so interesting because, yes, theoretically, most of us are looking to the future. We want to move forward. But moving to the future also comes along with some unknown territory, which creates some anxiousness, some fear, some uncertainty, the what ifs. Yet, our past doesn't. It keeps us in our comfort zone. But the big question is it really comfortable when we stay in the past? And I believe that when we are in that space of frigidity and can't sit still when we're in our past, that's an indication, it's a sign that you're not really comfortable where you are. You're just comfortable because you know what it is that you're experiencing. But you're very anxious because you know you shouldn't really be there anymore. There is something to this energy of trusting the timing. Not as both you and Joe spoke on in your live this morning, not the timing that we know, but the timing that, and I speak of this a lot, of our contracts. We all have contracts. And with those contracts, there's specific time frames, time periods to when certain things are the word I'm hearing is scheduled to take place. And I do believe firmly that we never miss anything that's really meant for us. It will eventually come around again. But the big question is, as I was saying earlier to Kitty, which I'm not going to get too much into it, in my dream state was having a conversation with someone and was stating to them that, the boat is here now. And this boat is for us to jump onto it and take the quantum leap to move into where we're supposed to go based on the timing. Now, theoretically, we have the choice. We have our free will to say, oh, we don't want to jump on there yet. And one might sit back and say, well, why didn't you jump on it? If you felt so strongly about getting on that boat, why didn't you jump on it and leave the other person behind? Our contracts, again, sometimes there's things you're meant to do with somebody as a partnership. And if you go and jump on and they stay behind, that still delays the partnership because that person has to get there too. So yes, theoretically, that timing is going to show up again, but when? Is it going to show up in 3 months, in 5 years? When is that timing? That's why it's called the quantum leap. We're allowing ourselves to be in that space of trusting that when something shows up that in your timeline is not really aligned just yet, but it shows up, the words and how I speak is the universe is testing you to see, are you ready to trust what is really for you and take this quantum leap to doing something? Or are you going to say with your own timeline, well, it has to go this. Eventually you're going to get there. It's just going to take a little longer because you're trusting your own timeline and not the timeline of your contracts, because in those contracts is really the timing of the divine. And I truly believe with all the work that I have done in, oh my God, the last, can't even count that far back, but that I'm entitled to these quantum leaps. I'm entitled. The universe is saying, you know what, you've done a lot of work and I believe you trust. So I'm going to present this to you. And are you ready to jump? Are you ready to jump? And because in my dreams, my partner, the person I was speaking with, was not ready to jump. So here it is, we stay back, and now we have to wait for the next opportunity. So in this divine timing, it's not your timing. It's trust in this process of what the universe puts in front of you and says, are you ready? Are you ready to do this? And that, I believe, is this whole title about surrendering our timing and allowing the divine to guide us. Kitty, what do you have to say about all of what I just shared? Because I know you have some major insight coming on about this.
Well, I'm listening because it is so much about that number 7, our partnership contracts are, and always remember our first partnership is with ourself, and our contract, we came in and took this human form. with our soul's energy. And of course, that soul's energy has lots of other energies from either whether you believe other lifetimes or connected to the cosmos. And this is a divine surrender. That was almost the title I sent you, divine surrender. Because this is really about, first of all, we're aligned with a part of the galactic universe, energy-wise, that is beyond the human journey that is coming our way. It is very much asking us to take a look at the visioning from that galactic center. What is it we want to see mankind begin? And, we start for journey of 1,000 miles. First step is ours, and you're going to talk about the 7/7 portal soon.
Yes.
It's very tangible, very much, we have on that full moon, we have a square with Uranus and our Venus energy, all in this Leo energy. And we haven't had this kind of square with a full moon since 1940. How interesting is that?
Yeah.
And so this is really very tangible. And interestingly enough, it's about colors, bright, vibrant colors, your creativity, your financial manifestations, a lot of manifestation things. But it's very bold and bright and very much tied to colors and how we see our world. Do we see a black and white world? And even in our contracts, it is time for me to get on the boat. If you don't want to get on with me, then I can let go of some of this contract, because I'm going to go, and I would happy to pull you along with me, or, I'll see you in the life dinghy somewhere across the way, and yeah, it's that star of the tarot card energy, looking at our faith. That's what this whole month is about, looking at our faith, looking at what can we start, what have we blocked from manifesting for ourselves. It's not just about bringing it to ourselves. It's already here. Why have I, blocked it? It's opportunities to access abundance, and very precisely, because on the 7th, Mars moves into Virgo. First of all, on the 7th, it's crossing over the 29th degree of Leo. So that's all the lessons of self, the lessons of our will.
And then, before you dive further into that, since we are on that 7, if you're okay with this, let me just talk about that energy, because I think just because we're there with that energy, go ahead.
And I'm just going to say, so at 29, you're talking about 11. It's that last day. It moves on the 10th completely into or Mars has moved at that point, and then Mercury follows into Leo. Mars goes into this Virgo energy. So it's crossing over that 11 master teacher, master builder energy, and infinite. And now, so just keep that in mind, that will is like a surgeon's will. And now talk about what the 7th is.
Yes. I was just saying to Kitty before we came live that every month we have portal numbers. And a portal number, for those of you who are not familiar, a portal, what it means is that the energy, the veil between the human and the spirit realm is so thin that we have an easier time to connect with spirit, to gain insight, to have those conversations with loved ones. And of course, for loved ones that are here on earth who do suffer with an illness or disease, makes it that much easier for them to cross over. And every year, one time a year, we have an extremely, extremely powerful portal, because the month, the day, the date, and the actual year actually match. And we have this only once a year. And on July 7th, we have that portal. It's not just a 7/7 energy. It's a 7/7/7 energy, because 2023 is our 7th. This is the universal energy for the entire year. So this 7/7/7 is an extremely powerful number. And for those of you who, I'm going to use the word gamble here, go to Las Vegas or whatever not, and gamble, you guys understand that powerful number of 777. When that shows up on your screen, you've won big. And that's what this energy is. That particular day is a portal to help us, because when we think about that 7/7 is that 14 energy, which is about change. That 7/7/7 is a 21 energy, which is about what are we willing to create so we can have the change. And this energy of the 7 is changing our contracts. And Kitty and I have been chatting about this, even our friend Joe, we have been chatting about this. And I'm sure there's many other practitioners out there that are chatting about this energy of change that is coming through every one of us, because we all are transforming, whether you are conscious of it or not. And when I use the word conscious or not, conscious means that you know you're doing this work, that you're meditating, you're journaling, you're getting together with like-minded folks, and you're talking about how you see one another being different, and you know that there's things around you that is very different. And the unconscious part of it is that you're not aware because you're not actually physically doing anything, but you definitely are noticing around you that things are not quite the same. And you're literally having this like disagreement with yourself on like, well, why is it the way I feel doesn't feel like the way I feel anymore? Like, why is that? And you're having that internal argument of like, well, I used to feel this way, but why does it seem like my views are changing? That's the unconsciousness. But we're all in this process. So on this day, July 7th, 2023, that's an extremely powerful day to really sit with yourself and start asking yourself, do you want to take this, I call it the quantum leap? Do you want to surrender to the divine and allow yourself to be guided by what's to come away from your fears? Because usually what keeps us where we are in our comfort zone is really about our fears. We're afraid. We are afraid of, well, what happens if I do take this leap and it doesn't work and it backfires, and or I don't. The what ifs. And I always like to look at it as, well, what happens if it does? What happens if you take this leap, you surrender to the divine, and everything that you ever desired, everything that you ever envisioned actually starts to come into play? What happens then? And that's the question that you have to start asking yourself with this 777 portal. Now, there's other major energy dates for July, but before I dive into those important dates, I like for Kitty to go back because, as usual, I'm always jumping in. I like for Kitty to jump back and talk about more about what's going on with our planets, and then I'll join in reference to the other important dates for July. So go ahead, Kitty. What else is steaming on our stove?
Well, interesting. I was drawn to the 8th. There's a void of course for your moon. And whenever there's a void of course, and of course it is between a moon cycle because it's the end of a Pisces moon going to an Aries. And at the void of course is at 2:22 p.m. on the 8th. So for some reason that really jumped out of the calendar. But the 10th, Mars is moving into Virgo. So again, on that 7th, it's at 29 degrees, which is that 11, which is that very much nurturing your, in that Leo energy of who you are. So in those contracts you're talking about, really is a big focus of all of the lessons of Leo, of who I am. So on the 10th, Mars moves to Virgo, and that's when it's like a sturgeon. On the 11th, depending where you are, it's just barely after midnight. So for some of you, it will also be the same day. We have Mercury moving to Leo. So we're going to have this whole stellium in Leo as we go into Leo, of course. And then the new moon is the day before. The new moon is at 2:32 p.m. on the 17th, and the new moon will be in Cancer. And it's a very powerful new moon. Again, there is intensity, but it can be just as much intensity of heaven on earth. It kind of depends which part so tenderness, compassion, really understanding that I may not know what it is I'm letting go of, but I'm willing to take the leap of faith, surrendering. And then
I have a question before you go further. You mentioned that on July 11th that Mercury is moving into Leo?
Yes, 12:11 a.m.
On July 11th?
On July 11th, it is speeding through from Cancer. Yep. Remember how it's
so the retrograde that Mercury goes into Cancer from July 8th through August 1st, no?
No. July 8th? No. Mercury's not retrograde.
Oh, because I have information that Mercury will be in retrograde July 8th
Well, let me look.
through August 1st.
Venus is going retrograde on the 28th.
Yeah, no, I have that too. But I also have that Mercury starts its retrograde July 8th.
I'm looking at my ephemeris table. Nope, Mercury does not retrograde again until the 21st of August.
Oh, that's so weird because the information I have and been following is that Mercury goes retrograde July 8th through August 1st.
Nope.
So I got to see where that came from.
So what it, yeah, because that does sound, is that last year's?
No, I thought that. Let me just double check my note a second.
I'm looking at my ephemeris right now.
Because that sounds so weird.
Because on the 12th Eastern Standard Time, it crosses into Leo, Mercury, and then on the 8th, by the way, and on the 18th is when the North Node crosses.
Mm-hmm.
Is when we cross out of a Taurus North Node to an Aries North Node.
That is so weird because I have anyway. It doesn't matter because if you're saying it doesn't, then it doesn't, and wherever my notes came from.
I mean, on the 22nd, Venus is retrograde.
Yeah, no, I have that. You know, I have several pages of notes that state that Mercury retrogrades in Cancer July 8th through August 1st, and that's so weird. That's so weird.
I have my other ephemeris book somewhere. Right here. Let me look.
Let's see.
So an ephemeris, for those who are watching, is the calculation of all of the times, lunar phases. Okay, where's planetary ephemeris? December. Oh, this one's the one that's so small. No, that's no. It's tiny, tiny, tiny. So July here is, nope, not on this one either.
Oh, well, then it must be whoever it was that I was getting this information from. It must not be accurate. I must stop following them.
Either that or they just looked at the year before.
It's possible, yeah. It's definitely possible.
Hey, it's just so you can see the other ephemeris I have. Where is it? It's very, very tiny. Look.
Yes.
So it's very easy to. I like the one on this calendar better because it's just bigger and my eyes need it. Yeah. So
anyway, so then Mercury does not go retrograde in Cancer then this year.
No, it does not.
Okay.
Mercury, next time Mercury retrogrades is in August, isn't it? And it's in Leo, I think. Mercury retrogrades on the 23rd in August. And did it switch? So it's retrograding in Leo this year.
Interesting.
Which is very interesting because it's a lot of self-communication. That's part of this intensity. And then with Venus on the 22nd, retrograding in Leo, in the time of Leo, with Mercury, that much Mercury in Leo, and Virgo with the will in, Mars in Virgo with its precision is very much about what do we value, how do we communicate that, and how do I let go of aspects that just aren't working for me, including when people bring out the aspects I don't want to have, I want to release. So, I take it back. Mercury moves to Virgo on the 28th of July. So it will retrograde in Virgo.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, well, I knew it wasn't going to retrograde in Leo.
No, it's for retrograding in Virgo.
Yes. So. That is so interesting.
But then again, it's at least getting a little bit longer because it's the 11th through the 28th. So Mercury has been speeding along. It's sped through Gemini. It went pretty fast shorter than usual in Cancer, and it's a little bit longer in Leo, and then it goes into Virgo, and it'll be in Virgo longer because it retrogrades. So, but at least it's, not 14 and a half days. It's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 days. So, which is a little more, it's normal than that 14 and a half was in Gemini. That was fast. That was very fast.
Yes.
And when the thing is, when Mercury is that fast, it's a daily energy. So that's part of that feeling of got to do something, got to get out there, something, it's a very quick energy. So, and then, it is such an interesting, and then this is all kind of leading to August, and I haven't really tuned into August yet. One of the things that happens on August 31st is Jupiter is trine Mars that is in that precision of Virgo. And so it's very much about different ways we grow abundant. We got some new definitions of that last month, and this month we'll check some of them out. So,
yes. So when we think about our portal energies, as we go back to that, we already know about that 777 energy. We also want to look at July 11th. Now, any master number, and theoretically there's 3 of them, but most of the time there's only 2 that show up on our calendar, which is the 11th and 22nd. And it's very rare when we think about the 3rd master number, which is 33. There's very few people in this world that literally carries a master number of 33. And how that's determined is based on their month, day, and year they're born. That will define that 33. So there's a very small population of people that literally carry that 33 energy. And what that 33 energy means is it's basically the person that is willing to sacrifice themselves for others. It carries the energy of Christ, Buddha, our high priestess. So there's a very small population of people out there. So if you add up your month and day and the year you were born, and you come up with the number 33, know that you are in a very small category of people that carry this intensive energy. And because it doesn't show on our calendar, it's very rare that we have that master number in a portal date, like we do the 11th and 22nd. So July 11th is one of those portal dates, and it's reminding us that we are the master healers, but we're also the master teacher. What are we willing to teach others in regards to our contracts? Because we are teaching each other. Kitty teaches me things every day, as you just witnessed. I rely on many different astrologers for guidance, but I do have certain ones that I really trust in when they give me information. And here you witnessed today, I had information that was not necessarily correct, or the person who was finding their information wasn't able to read that small fine print. So anyway, what are you teaching others in this portal as you are the teacher? The same way you are the master healer to yourself. In this Cancer season that we have going on, gives us the ability to heal our own mind, body, and spirit, which also leads to we may very well experience physical symptoms that show up in our body, where our body is actually talking to us. Our body is trying to get our attention to bring things back into a more harmonic and balanced process. So pay attention to your body when things are showing up in your body. Don't be so quick to want to put a Band-Aid on it. And what I mean by a Band-Aid, don't be so quick to want to take the over-the-counter medicine just to get rid of the headache. I mean, yes, I don't want you to suffer, but if you sit with the headache and ask yourself, why is it I have a headache? What's going on in my life right now that's creating a lot of pressure in my head? And that can be a matter of overthinking, over-processing. So pay attention. When we think of the headache, we think of crown chakra. And Kitty has spoken about it a lot in regards to when we think about that Neptune retrograde in Pisces. This is about the higher learning. This is also about trusting. And sometimes there's things that we struggle with in reference to being able to trust the process. So that can create that pressure. So if a physical symptom appears, take some time just to sit with it. Now, of course, if that physical symptom lingers on for a really long time, whatever long is for you, I'm not going to put a time date to it, then of course reach out to your physician to find out what is medically going on, if there is something medical. I'm not going to tell you to discard, whatever it is you feel, but also trust your intuition with that 7-11 portal, because you are the master healer of your own body. Second portal, as I mentioned, is 722. That's the day that we are building. Number 22 is about the master builder. What do you want to build? What do you want to build in your relationships? Because that 22 is literally bookcased around that 7 for the month and 7 of 2023. So what is it you want to build, and what are you willing to change so you can build? And that 7 energy, that's this universal energy. It's about your contracts. It's about what you are married to. And when I use the word what you're married to, your habits, your beliefs, your programmings, your philosophies, and that may need to change for you. I mean, what you used to run by years back may not be aligned to you anymore. So that 22, you are the master builder. What are you willing to change so you can build a new enterprise? What are you willing to change so you can build this new foundation? After all, Saturn being retrograde in Pisces is about your structure. So that date is giving you that energy to review what are you willing to build. And understand. Go ahead.
And that is the day of that is the day Venus goes retrograde. It's revisiting, review, redo, re-strategy. This is going till the end of August. This energy of exactly what you're talking about. What is it I value? What is it I trust? What is it I'm stepping into?
Exactly. And then our last portal, which may not seem like a portal so much, but it really is that 7-16-7. So now we're asking, well, how is that a portal? Well, when you take the number 16, 1 and 6 adds to a 7. But before we go to the addition, we're going to take that 1 and 6 for a moment. That 1 is reminding us of something new coming in. And I'm going to flip it also to the astrology aspects. That 1 is the reminder of who I am, which is where the North Node is going. This is an opportunity. This is that gate that opens up for you in exploring that new beginning of who I am. Who am I, and how do I want to show up in the world? This new gateway, considering on, if I have my information correctly, on July 11th, I believe it is, when the North Node changes.
18th.
18th. There you go. I have it right in front of me. On July 18th, 2 days after this date, is the North Node. North and South nodes are changing into that I am state.
And the new moon's in between.
Exactly. So there's a lot of energy in that 1. And then, of course, that 6 is what we've been talking about this whole time. Healing, nurturing, scheduling time so you can review who you are. Who were you? What was your story you were talking about maybe last year or before the pandemic even hit? Because that's when this energy really started showing up for us, giving us this opportunity to see ourselves as a new who we are. Who am I? I'm a new who am I. I'm not the who am I that was 3 years ago. I'm a different who am I. And that's that 6 energy, to take the time to sit, to really evaluate who you are. Schedule your time, the nurturing time. That 6 energy is very much associated with our Virgo energy. And the new system, the new body system you are in, realigning is the word I just heard. Realigning the new energy you are in. Moving differently, seeing differently, hearing differently, speaking differently, and being open to seeing things differently. That everything doesn't have to be based on your timeline to, well, it's supposed to go this. No, there could be some room for wiggle room. That may be something that we expected to happen, let's say, in 3 years from now. It, as I like to call, and many other practitioners do, we collapse the time. And it can happen now. So be open to that 7-16-7 portal.
It's funny because Joe and I were talking about, I had heard the word bomb. I had heard the word volcano. And I kept saying, that feels too And then just before I signed on with him yesterday, I got the word geyser, and he had a vision with geysers. That's what this energy you're talking about is. It breaks through to release and move you forward. And in the middle of what you were saying, I heard pull a card. And this is a deck I don't use as often. It's called Beyond Lemuria. And this is what I pulled: the sound of the universe. Listen to the sound of the universe. And the number is a 51, so it's a 6. It is that healing, listening, letting that geyser show you where you're releasing energy and moving forward, very much about collapsing of timelines. And so I'm really curious to see what August is going to bring, because that's kind of the
I can only imagine.
That's the accumulation. So, and of course, that's the number of transformation, 8, of change and getting ready for what the transformation will be, that infinity sign. So that's that August energy. So very interesting. And then the card that came right behind it was Realm Builder. We are building our own realms. We are accessing realms. And by the way, it's a 5 change. 5, 6, 7.
Yes, I love that order: 5, 6, and 7. What does that add up when we think about it? 5, 6, 7.
11 and 7 is 18 and 9 transformation.
Yeah, 9. What do we have to let go so we can transform?
Right.
What do we have to let go so we can transform is the big answer. So as Kitty pulled some cards, let me see what cards I can pull to add to this insight for today. As I'm still focused on the fact that Mercury is not going retrograde, and thinking about all the articles that I have written in the last 2 weeks, and that I now need to try to figure out how can I go and revise those articles before they get printed. It's like, oh no, how is that even possible? What does one do when they have a fumble like that, Kitty?
You let it be known that it's something people need to be looking at. And it's interesting because Mercury is a big player this month. He's been speeding along, and it is kind of similar to retrograde, what it's doing. It's going so quickly, it's disturbing things, it's pushing things. So it doesn't surprise me that that's what it has felt like.
That's true. That's true. But me sharing with the world that, theoretically Mercury is going retrograde in Cancer, which is not, it's about the body system, which I think is one of the reasons why I was so fixated on, this is happening in Cancer, where it's not happening, but it still has a lot to do with our body system as well, considering the energies that...
Well, you got it from the internet, because they're saying Mercury retrogrades in Cancer July 8th, 2023 to August 1st.
So now who is saying that?
I don't know.
So the information that I received is actually there, yes? The question is, who is saying that?
This was, this is called Anytime Astro.
So there's somebody else out there that believes it to be the same, which is where I got my insight from as well. Because when I plugged it in to find out where Mercury's going to be going, that's what popped up. And I'm like, oh, wow, we have our next Mercury retrograde. So somewhere along the line, someone else believes this too. But we have to get the accuracy, because I need to know if I need to revise some of my articles that I sent out. This is a wazooza where both Kitty and I are sitting like, well, what the hell?
Well, and I'm looking at it both in my calendar, and I looked at the other ephemeris, and it's not listed.
Yes, it's very strange that this is the energy that that is stated somewhere, that someone else, and I'm not even going to say someone else, because theoretically when I do research, I research. So this is not even information that came from me. This is information that I researched to find out that theoretically Mercury will be retrograding in Cancer on July 8th. Yet all the other things that we see seems not to be true. So
there's all kinds of articles that Mercury will retrograde in the Cancer sign on July 8th.
That is so interesting.
And I'm looking at my charts and it's not listed.
That is so interesting. This is something that Kitty and I will have to investigate to see what is real and what is not, in regards to this energy. But as Kitty's looking there, what I'm going to do, because I think this card is very appropriate to what we are experiencing this very moment. Listen and truth. Listen and truth. And it's associated with our solar plex energy. And it really is about what it is we do listen to. How do we listen to our intuition? How do we listen to others? What are we learning when we do listen to somebody? What are we learning about them? And when I refer to the word listen, it's not only about what a person says, it's also about what a person doesn't say, their quietness, their stillness, their and this is the way I'm hearing, their inability to speak. Because sometimes when someone gets overwhelmed about something, as humans, we want answers. And I fall into that category myself. I want an answer. I want to know what it is you're thinking about. But if you have the inability to speak at that time, I'm not going to be able to get out of you what you are thinking about because you have the inability to speak. So at that point is where I have to use a different sense for myself to be able to listen based on their body, based on the things they're not saying, based on like, okay, maybe this is a moment of pausing and not necessarily speaking, not necessarily listening. And rather than listening to what they're not saying, listen to yourself. What do you need to hear at that time when the other person cannot speak? They have the inability to speak at that moment. Not that they can't speak. They just have the inability at that moment to speak. They are so overwhelmed with so much going on that took place at that time that they don't have the words to express. So when we listen, let's listen that way as well. And the truth, just as this Neptune in Pisces, this is a time for truth. What do you want to know, and how are you willing to be truthful to yourself regarding where you're going? And that yellow is very much solar plex energy. This is a matter of faith. This is a matter of trusting. This is a matter of allowing yourself, and I've been saying this since we first started this live today, this is a quantum leap energy. This is about allowing yourself, if you are willing, to take a leap of faith to doing something out of your timeline. Surrender your timing. Surrender your timing and trust that if the divine believes you're capable of doing something sooner than later, trust this process. And that's hard sometimes because fear comes up. I'm afraid. What am I afraid of? The afraid of the unknown, of can I really do this? And sometimes as humans, what we do is we are so afraid that when we do jump into it, we're so afraid of it that we sometimes sabotage ourselves when we have it because we're so afraid of having it. There's so many people, especially people that I've met in the past, that are literally afraid of success. And because they're afraid of success, they do not allow themselves to be successful, even though they want to be successful, but they're afraid of it. And a lot of that has to do with their karmic energy from past life experiences, that if they were to work on clearing that energy from their past life, they would be able to be successful and not be afraid of it. So this yellow energy is really about trusting. Let's talk about our 3, which is what Kitty and I have been exploring, in the quiet zone. That 3, which is our Mercury's energy. What it is we need to heal, what it is we want to schedule, what it is we want to learn about ourselves. Mercury is about communication. Mercury is about learning, understanding, speaking, expressing. But it's also about technology, the things that we learn in technology. After all, we're exploring what we are learning in technology, what we see.
Well, and technology doesn't even agree with itself.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we're what you said, what technology is, what we see, what we hear. And we have to use that level of discernment, because I am finding in this conversation about Mercury that, yes, there is a group saying there is. my ephemeris tables, and then I found another one that says no, it's the 4 times a year, which it does, are December through January 18th, April 21st to May 14th, August 23rd to September 14th, December 13th to January 1st. So, but there are people saying it retrogrades.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting in reference to those of us, and I'm going to put myself in that category only because I found this information somewhere and have posted it in articles that will be published in the next couple of days. So in theory, the big question is, does Mercury go retrograde in Cancer, or does Mercury not go retrograde in Cancer? Well, that's to be determined. Kitty and I will definitely be doing some more exploring to really come to that conclusion on, does it? I mean, we do both know and are both aware that Mercury does retrograde anywhere between 3 to 4 times a year. Definitely 3, but then there's also that possibility that it does retrograde 4 times. We don't always have a 4th, but definitely 3. So the big question is, will Mercury retrograde in Cancer or not? To be concluded at a different time. But that 3 energy is reminding you, wherever Mercury is, and whether it's retrograding or not, the point of it is Mercury is teaching us to learn how to communicate. Mercury is teaching us right now where Mercury is right now. Mercury, correct me if I'm wrong, Mercury is in Cancer right now, yes?
Yes, Mercury is in Cancer.
Okay, so we are clear that Mercury is in Cancer right now. We are not clear whether there's going to be a retrograde because there's too many confusing articles. So we're going to leave that alone for just now. And know that Mercury just teaches us how to communicate, how to listen, how to connect with one another, collaborations, and of course our creativity. What are we creating? What do we want to create? You know, and are we willing to surrender, as our title is called? Surrender, the timing of the divine. Surrender. Let go of what you feel the timing should be. Because again, when we think about the universal energy, as humans, we are the only ones that speak of time. In fact, I was listening to, and I speak of her often, Dolores Cannon, who speaks about timing. Whereas when we speak to people from around the world, let's say we speak to someone who is 6 hours ahead of us or 6 hours behind us, when we're speaking to them at the time. We're not waiting 6 hours to speak to them. So when we think about timing, it's not about timing. Timing is now. Everything is now. Everything is happening right now. When we step into tomorrow, tomorrow is now. And that's really all that really exists, is the now, not the timing. So the big question to ask yourself, what do you want to create now? Not sit back and say, well, in 3 years from now, I plan to have such and such. What do you want to create now? And in order to create that now, you have to be in what we call a frequency match to it. You have to be in alignment to the thing you're looking to create. So energetically, you have to believe you can create it now. If you don't believe you can create it now, then it doesn't show up in your reality now. And if you really do believe that it's going to show up in 3 years from now, then that's when it's going to show up, because that's what you believe. It's all really about your thinking, your process of what your beliefs are. So what do you believe to be true is the message I got from this card. Oh, wow. That was a lot for one card.
That was a lot for one card.
Yes.
You know,
are you still searching?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm finding more with the August date than I am the July date, but there were 2 definite saying that it was the July date. And so somebody somewhere got something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to pull another card. So perfectly aligned with our conversation. Change. Change. And I think that's really the big theme here, is what are you willing to change so you can have the very things you're willing to have? You know, we all have contracts, and whatever those contracts are, we have to be willing to change. Now, in sitting here with Kitty, and Kitty being one of my mentors, and Kitty has taught me so much about me in the last, what is it now, 3 years that we know each other?
Yes.
Yes. So Kitty has taught me so much about me in regards to my astrology chart and all the different things that I've experienced in the last, nevertheless 3 years, but in the last, give and take 7 months. And knowing what I know and what I've learned through Kitty, has helped me transform and take the leap of faith of like, okay, this is no longer aligned with me. So I have to let it go. And in letting something go, it helps me to change something. Anytime we let something go, something is going to come in. Now, doesn't always come in immediately. Sometimes there's pausing, and that's something I've learned through Kitty, is that there's a pause. It's not going to necessarily show up right now, and that is also the alignment of the surrendering, the timing of the divine. It doesn't necessarily show up when I want it to show up, but the change needs to take place. And then the conversations, asking, being super clear to what it is you desire. What do you want that thing to look like? It's like placing a dinner order. When you call your favorite restaurant and you ask them to send you over whatever, but you don't give them the full order, they're only going to give you what you gave them. So the carrots may not be there. The sauce may not be there. The napkins may not be there because you didn't ask for it. And they can only give you what you ask for. And that's the same thing with the universal energy. You have to be super clear to what you are communicating, what it is you want into your reality. Super clear. So that 5, very much associated with our Leo energy. And currently we do have both Venus and Mars sitting in Leo. At least Mars sitting in Leo for a little while longer until it transfers over. But that's that energy of change. And making sure that you have fun while you're in this process, because it's not supposed to be hard. It really is not supposed to be hard. As humans, we make everything hard. And that's just the reality of it.
Well, and we're moving from that Piscean consciousness where the denser expression is suffering and hardness to this Aquarian energy of together we are stronger. Together we can do it. And it can be gentle. The signs are there. People bring you these messages. Matter of fact, one of the cards I pulled was loving compassion with the card of surrender. So, that is exactly what you're talking about. Start with compassion for yourself, and then you can have compassion for other people. Compassion that you are confused, compassion that it isn't straightforward, compassion that you're in a pause and you don't feel like being in a pause, or you feel like you should be doing something and you want to pause. Compassion for yourself, so that is what you hold the space so others, because what makes us run the other way is when we feel something is hard and it's going to punish and all of those things that we tell ourselves. So
yes, I love that. I love that. I love this insight. I love all that it's going to, and all this amazing energy that July has to offer. 222, yes, which is another way of reminding us to have faith. Have faith that everything is happening for you, not to you. Have faith that you're exactly where, as I want to cough on this one, have faith that you're exactly where you need to be. Hold on to that thought a second.
While she coughs, while she gets rid of something she has to say. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So have faith that you're exactly where you need to be. Have faith that you are the creator to this chapter, as you are to the creator to any chapter. You get to create what it is you wish to have. And if you are looking to have something sooner than later, you must be willing to do that quantum leap. You must be willing to recognize that when something shows up, you can either say, yes, I want to try it this way, or you have your free will of, well, for right now, I can't do that right now. So I'm going to hold back. I'm going to stay where I am, and I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing until I'm ready to get there. Because in the bigger picture of things, you're eventually going to get there. That is the bigger picture. It may take you a little longer to get there, but you're going to get there. It's whatever way you go, right or left, you're going to get to where you have to be. That's just the bottom line to it. So just trust your faith.
Yes, very much. I love that. That's a good point to end.
Yes. So with all that being said, I know Kitty and I are going to come back sometime again in July to share some more, because there's so much going on. I'm sure she and I will come together on July 18, if not before, to share about our North and South nodes that are getting ready to transit out of Taurus Scorpio into Aries Libra. And oh my goodness gracious, that's some big stuff.
Well, and this Capricorn full moon tomorrow. And it's in the morning. So really tonight, I don't know, I have so much rain recently. It's at 7:39 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So some of you it will be tonight. Maybe just after midnight. But it's a super moon. So your moon rituals really reflect what your intentions are, what structures you want to participate, and what you need to structure to support. Just what Joanne was saying. It is that three energy. It's synthesis of wants, needs, and desires. So.
Yes. So all that being said, Kitty and I are going to say goodbye, and she and I are going to continue researching all about this Mercury stuff and where the confusion came into play. But anyway, till next time, we look forward to seeing all of you. Enjoy the 4th of July. Enjoy tomorrow's super full moon. Enjoy this week, and just know that we have some more fun to share with you later on.
Bye now.